Show we got some big breaking news when it comes to the details of the speakership today with Mike Johnson, the new rules, the deals that he made to retain his speakership with Trump and the two holdouts. We also have the big news with the judge ordering Trump to be sentenced just 10 days before he is inaugurated as president. You can't make this stuff up, but there is signals that no punishment will happen for this conviction. This is big news. A lot of people have been wondering what's going to happen. Is Trump going to serve prison time? But because of his immunity and being the president at the time that everything happened, all this is being wiped away. So now Trump has said this has to stop now. He said this has gone way too far. Judge Merchan only used this as a way to try to keep him from being president and to keep people from voting for him. And he says this stops now. One of his top priorities now is for Pam Bondi to go after all these people that weaponize the government, including Judge Merchan, for these sham trials. This is breaking news. Again, Trump is going to be able to attend this sentencing on January 10th virtually, but because there's going to be no sentencing, because there's going to be no fees, that's what they're saying, that it's going to be an unconditional discharge. And I'm actually going to show you the document from the courts and show you the exact verbiage of what they're saying, and so that you can see for yourself what is going on. No penalties whatsoever. It's just going to be thrown away. This is mind-blowing for all the things that Trump had to endure. It kept him off the campaign trail, cost him tens of millions of lawyer fees, and for it all to go away for nothing makes no sense. Also, Mike Johnson gives a statement for winning the speakership and to what he's going to be focusing on when it comes to the weaponization of government and eliminating the fourth branch of government, the unelected and administrative state. There's a lot of unelected bureaucrats that are essentially controlling Americans' lives in Washington. You've never heard of them, but they're making all these laws, and they essentially can be fired. And Johnson and Trump said, this is a top priority. We have to remove them, and we have to give the government back to we the people. Also, this is big news. The Mexican president has said that she will allow Trump to use Mexico as a deportation hub for even non-Mexican migrants to aid in the mass deportations of people going away from the United States, so long as there are no tariffs or sanctions imposed on Mexico. So again, lots of good news today, but it's just mind-blowing what we've had to deal with this hush money case trial for Trump. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can serve you every day with the top news. Remember, we do Monday through Friday, 2 shows a day, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join. And we use all those membership dues to give to charity. And also, too, if you don't mind, click that thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. We appreciate your support. And guys, we couldn't do this without you. And thank you so much to everybody who gives a super chat donation and supports our giving to charity. But I want to jump right into this news, guys. There's more things that are leaking out now. And I'm going to show you things that you're not normally going to see on the mainstream media of these documents that are being leaked of why these actions are taking place. Check this out.
Of the historic status of Trump being sworn in as a convicted felon. So, Don, is that what this is all about? Just to give Democrats that talking point?
It's what all of it's been about, Lisa. Look at all of the times they've gone after him. Look at all the times they've failed. It's one more soundbite that they're going to get to try to use to allow the mainstream media to paint him in a certain picture. The reality is my father won with an overwhelming mandate of the American people, winning every swing state, winning the popular vote. This is a last-ditch effort to probably the most resilient man in American political history. How many times have they counted him out? How many times have they tried to take him out, quite literally, whether it was was with lawfare or with actual bullets. He's the most resilient man in the world, and he's going to deliver for America and the American people. That's the mandate that he received on November 5th, and that's what he's going to see through. The rest of it is just nonsense from a flailing Democrat Party that has no moral compass, that has no direction, that is not in line with the views and the mindset of the American people, and that's why they lost so overwhelmingly.
Well, you know, you're right. And he won the popular vote. Your dad did for the first time for Republicans in 20 years. So he has the American people behind him. There's this big agenda he wants to get done to deliver to Americans. But, you know, we've got small majorities in both the House and the Senate. What would you say to any Republican who wants to stand in the way of that agenda and stand in the way of that mandate?
Well, we only have the House and the Senate, frankly, because of my father, because he was able to bring some of those candidates across that line. Obviously, I think we got a lot of great new candidates in the Senate and some in the House, but I think they have to get in line and they have to do that. You saw a little bit of that today, frankly, with a 3-seat majority. You got the Speaker done on the second. Obviously, you have to have a little bit of that drama, but the reality is that we have the House and the Senate because of my father, because of the mandate that the American people gave all of our representatives, and it's time for them to start representing that. It's time to start representing the constituency that elected them there. When you look at what happened, Lisa, in the first couple days of the year, where you have multiple terrorist attacks happening, that happened because people couldn't get together. They allowed the Democrats to steamroll them. They allowed the failed policies of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and frankly, the entire Democrat Party to make America a disaster. That has to stop. The American people voted for that overwhelmingly, and they have to get behind my father, his agenda, and most importantly, they have to get his cabinet confirmed immediately. None of the rhino games, none of the nonsense that they're going to play. They have to allow him to have the people that he wants in the positions to get things done and to deliver for America.
You know, Don, your family's been put through hell. Your dad's been put through hell. Mershon's still trying to put him through hell, as we talked previously. Investigations, court cases, impeachment, 2 assassination attempts. You've been put through a lot of this stuff as well. You know, how are you guys doing since the victory? How have you guys been doing these past few weeks? I imagine this has been a massive weight off your shoulders and a relief.
Well, it's been a lot of work even since the election, obviously, just, getting the team together for transition, making sure he has the team that can deliver. I think the team that we've assembled this time around and my father has chosen is so much better than what we would have done in 2016, where we just didn't know, where we were coming in as total outsiders and didn't have an understanding. I think, frankly, it's better that we have these next 4 years than we would have had we had the 20 to 24 cycle, because you would have rolled over some of the bad actors that weren't going to get things done. So that feels great. But really, Lisa, what means the most to me, what means the most to my family, is seeing from regular Americans and small business owners and entrepreneurs who are coming up and saying, you know what, Don, thank God that happened. We're now investing. We're now taking a chance. We're going to go out there and do these things. We're going to expand on the little restaurant that we built. America has confidence again. America, feels they have a chance at success. They have a chance to thrive, not just barely survive. So many people were literally deciding what they were going to do based on the outcome of an election, whether they were going to take a chance to live their American dream. And when I hear those stories by people that come up to me day in and day out, that's what this was all about. That's what we did this for, and that's what I'm really excited to see. And I think that's going to lead to an incredible economy.
Guys, it's beautiful, guys. Even though, no matter what, these sham trials that they're trying to put Trump through, the judge orders Trump's sentence just 10 days, guys. 10 days before he's inaugurated, but signals no punishment for conviction. Guys, this is being reported by The Hill. This is really, really good report. Want to say thank you so much, Barbara Motzinger, for the super chat. Let's go. And thank you so much, Ronald Zimmerman, for the super chat. Y'all show Ronald and Barbara some love in the chat, everybody. So this is the actual document that was sent over for the conclusion of this hush money case. You're probably not going to see this on mainstream media, but this to me, this right here is why it's so corrupt. Listen to this. Therefore, this court finds that neither the vacatur, what the heck does that mean, of the jury's verdicts nor dismissal of the indictments are required by the Presidential Immunity Doctrine, the Presidential Transition Act, or the Supremacy Clause, and This court further finds the defendant's arguments, whether independent or of one another, are considered together in support of his motions pursuant to CPL 210-.41. Factors A through J are unpersuasive, as no compelling factor, consideration, or circumstance submitted demonstrate the imposition of sentence would result in an injustice. Why do they have to talk like this? What I just read there was the worst way to basically just say, look, he wanted to try to dismiss it. We found that there wouldn't be, no harm would come from this. They didn't have any reasoning. They didn't have any compelling evidence. So we didn't dismiss it. And guess what? He's going to come under sentence on January 20th, on January 10th. But this is how they do it. This is how they do the laws. This is how all the courts do it. And this is a very, to me, spitting in the face of Americans, because who the heck talks like this? No one does. But they put it in this language to try to keep people from actually knowing the law and actually being able to defend themselves. And then you got to pay an attorney $500-600 an hour on the low side to try to make sure that you're doing what the law says, even though it's so unneeded on how it's said. Now, I want to go into, because with this whole speakership, Pam Bondi, Trump going after all these people that weaponize the government, Mike Johnson is pivotal in that. And there's a lot of people that are already saying, look, I'm warning Mike Johnson. If he bends the knee to the Democrats, if he doesn't uphold the MAGA, then we're coming after him. Check this out.
Nothing. And that was problematic and disturbing to me. At this point, I'm making a leap of faith so that I can move alongside the president and the president's desire to stick with Speaker Johnson. But I'll tell you, the one difference is, and the speaker knows this, and in my messaging today, I've been pretty clear. You know, you saw the vote today. What was the final vote? 218 to 215 to 1, I think. Michael Waltz and Elise are going to be gone pretty soon. And then there'll be elections, and we'll have some back, and Matt Gaetz will get replaced. But it is a very thin majority. I can assure you that every vote is going to be scoured and looked at, and that we're going to be watching it like a hawk with respect to how we're moving stuff forward. There will be no more 1,500-page bills. There will be no more of that. Or there will be, we will use the tools at our disposal to stop it. But I'm going to start afresh and give the speaker room to deliver. But we're going to have to hold him accountable, because what you just said is correct. What happened the week before Christmas is unforgivable and can never happen again.
No.
It was absurd. We got a 1,500-page bill negotiated with the four corners with Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, dropped on us. We had a couple of days to look at it, broke the 72-hour rule. Then we all look at it, say, hey, this is garbage. There were some good things that got cut, but a lot of bad things. And then obviously Elon and Vivek and everybody started hitting it, you guys, and everybody said, hey, this is garbage. Okay, great, we killed that. Well, then the president was clear, I want the debt ceiling. Okay, you want the debt ceiling clear, but we only had 48 hours. Well, what I've been telling the speaker is, you can't leave that sitting on us in our lap. You've got to be clear that there's a large block of conservatives who are never going to just agree to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion without spending cuts. And that's not an affront to the president. It's just a reality of those of us who recognize we've got to constrain spending. So we want to be able to work with the president. What the speaker did that week was set up a division that didn't need to occur. We didn't need to have that vote that Thursday night where we ended up with more Democrats voting for it and 38 Republicans voting no. That should never have happened.
Nope.
So we've made that clear to the speaker. He has apologized for that to us. And so now we're going to have to get busy. And, once we start meeting tomorrow, we're going to talk about our reconciliation plans. We'll see what happens. But I can promise you that there's a block of us, and we've tried to send that message as best as we could today.
But you talk about no big bills. You're going to be at Fort McNair tomorrow, and sometime in the morning, you're going to hear that we want one reconciliation, which is an omnibus, and we'll have it to you guys by March. Instead of having a border reconciliation and energy on the president's desk by the afternoon of the 20th or the 21st. How is this audience supposed to react to that? Because it's not going to react well. The two reconciliations where it's absolute clarity on deportations, border security, and energy, which is the underpinning of the Trump economic plan, is what people are focused on. If tomorrow in Fort McNair, by noon, when you start talking reconciliations, you get Jason Smith and those guys up there doing the 3-card monte because they want to hide what's really in the tax part, where are we going to be? Sir.
So my preference was, and I've been public about this, was 2 bills to do exactly what you just said. I want border security. I want energy. Let's reverse all the Biden crap. Let's bank some wins. Let's bank some savings. And then use that to leverage and set up whatever we need to do on the overall mandatory spending cuts. That is, reforming Medicaid and cutting SNAP and all that in exchange for what we're doing with respect to the tax relief. And put that in a package. But now it looks like there might be a single bill approach. My standards are still going to be the same. There must be deficit neutrality. The border must get done, and it shouldn't take till May, June, July, right? Which is what they're risking doing by putting it in one package.
Yeah.
I told the president not to get into too many private conversations on it. I don't want to do that. But I think it's fair to say, I told the president broadly, look, I think we should get in a room and figure out what we can deliver immediately. Do that. Whatever that is, starting with border. And if there's a number of things we can peel off and get in that package that we can get unanimity in and get across the finish line, fine. I don't care if that gets bigger as long as they're good policies. But don't delay it. Let's just work on it right now and start with border and get what done that needs to get done.
Yeah, perfect. Great minds saying, like, Chip, I know you got to bounce. You got another radio interview. Can you give us your social media so folks can follow you?
Guys, let me tell you this. The biggest thing is accountability. The biggest thing is letting us know what the heck is going on as things are transpiring, guys, because there's a lot of backroom deals happening. Guys, I got to show you something in a minute where literally Hillary Clinton says that she wants to partner with China to try to go after Trump. You can't make, you know what? Let me go ahead and show you that right now. This is the type of people that we're dealing with on the Democrat side. It makes no sense. Listen to this.
The only other adversary of ours who's anywhere near as good as the Russians is China. So why should Russia have all the fun? And since Russia is clearly backing Republicans,
wow,
why don't we ask China?
I hereby tonight ask China.
Why don't we ask China?
Oh my goodness. I'm going to refresh. This is so stupid. I mean, you got to, because you're missing the most important part.
Adversary of ours who's anywhere, and since Russia is clearly backing Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight
You hear
ask
this?
China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you.
You cannot make this up. Look how low the Democrats are willing to go to try to attack Trump. Siding with China, our number one enemy, the Communist Party. You just heard Hillary Clinton say that. Let's partner with China because we know Russians got the Republicans back. No, you are crazy, and this is why you don't deserve to be president. But what I do love is the transparency that we're getting now from a lot of congresswomen and men who are now saying, look, now Speaker Johnson, we got to make some rules. Check this out.
Finished voting for Mike Johnson for Speaker of the House, but I want to tell you a quick story of what happened before the Speaker vote. So I found out about our rules package, our rules that we're going to be voting on, and I found out that there was language in the rules that was upsetting to me, and I think upsetting to most of you. So I went to Speaker Johnson and the rest of the leadership, and I said, I will not vote for the House rules unless this language is changed. So I'm going to walk through what it is that had me upset. I said, I will not vote for the rules package. I will withhold my vote. I'll vote no. And here's what it was. So from Nancy Pelosi's 117th Congress, when she was Speaker of the House, it was my freshman year, and I was shocked and mortified that this is what the Democrats did. They established, and here it is in the rules, they established an Office of Diversity and Inclusion. This is what the Democrats do. And so here's all the language in there, establishing an Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and it talks about all the rules and how the whole thing will be carried out. And then going further, they did something that I think it's absolutely against who we are as human beings and absolutely 100% against gender. What they did is they included so-called gender-inclusive language. And this is where Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats put it in. Starts with Clause 1C9 in Rule 10, strike seamen and insert seafarers. But that's only the beginning, so it keeps going. It carries on and it strikes chairman to insert chair. See, they're so offended by male and female. The Democrats have spent years now trying to destroy the fact there's only two genders, male and female. Well, this language goes further, and it's even more offensive. It goes on to strike father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, first cousin, nephew, niece, husband, wife, father-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, stepfather, stepmother, stepson, stepdaughter, stepbrother, stepsister, half-brother, half-sister, grandson, or granddaughter, and inserts parent, child, sibling, parent, sibling, first cousin, sibling's child, spouse, parent-in-law, child-in-law.
What the heck is that?
Sibling-in-law, step-parent, stepchild, step-sibling, half-sibling, or grandchild.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this, I'm telling you, we didn't know this. We maybe somebody mentioned it, but this type of stuff is where they put in the Democrats who tried to remove father, mother, are you kidding me? Son, daughter? And that's where, again, too, the mindset of we're living in two different realities, the Republicans and the Democrats. We want to get back to common sense. It is okay to say I'm a father. It is okay to have your son, but the Democrats literally removed that from the documentation of the laws.
Because Democrats want to completely destroy the fact that God made us in his image, male and female. He made us. And no matter what kind of language the Democrats write, they cannot destroy that. And now that we are in control of the House, we're voting on new rules.
Yes.
And so my demand to Speaker Johnson and to the rest of the leadership is I said, I'm not voting for your rules, and I'll be very public about it. I will tell the entire country that we have to fix this until it's changed. Very excited to let you know. The language has been changed, and I had some other members help. Diana Harshberger helped me, Dusty Johnson helped me, Brian Stiles helped me, and the Speaker's office and staff helped me. So here's the new language in the rules. Striking the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Strike in Rule 2, strike Clause 9, and redesignate the succeeding clause accordingly. So that means we are completely wiping out Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats' Diversity and Inclusion Office. Then it goes further. Here's some more of it. Conforming amendments. Strike the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, strike Inspector General, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and insert Inspector General. Now, here's what else is extremely important. You see, we're the family, we're the party of family. We believe in family. We believe in mother, father, sister, brother, all these family names. And shame on Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats for ever taking that out. Think about it. Nancy Pelosi herself is a woman. She is a wife. She is a mother. She is a grandmother, and so on. So we're putting these words back in. Right here, restoring family-centric language. So here it is, 1 in Clause 8C3. That we are striking the Democrats' language. We're striking their gender-inclusive language. We're striking parent, child, sibling, parent, sibling, first cousin, siblings, child, spouse, parent-in-law, child-in-law, sibling-in-law, step-parent, stepchild, step-sibling, half-sibling, or grandchild, and we're inserting back in the rules of our house. We're putting the proper names back in: father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, first cousin, nephew, niece, husband, wife, father-in-law, mother-in-law, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, stepfather, stepmother, stepson, stepdaughter, stepbrother, stepsister, half-brother, half-sister, grandson, or granddaughter. And in Clause 15D2, strike parent, child, sibling, spouse, or parent-in-law, and insert father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, husband, wife, father-in-law, or mother-in-law. Look, Republicans are back in charge.
Yes.
And we are going to do this right. And we're going to restore this country to traditional family values. And this is how we do it, in the absolute language that we vote on the House floor. So I didn't withhold my vote from Mike Johnson today for Speaker, but I did threaten to withhold my vote for the rules until this was changed. And I'm very happy to say it got changed. I'll add on one more piece of information. We are going to have very specific rules in the House of Representatives in the Capitol. There will be no biological men in our bathrooms, in our locker rooms, in any of women's places of privacy. And that is a fact. So,
guys, isn't it crazy that we literally have to have in the laws, in the rules, that to be allowed to call somebody a father or a mother, or else you could get in trouble? I mean, this is, we're going back to common sense. Thank you so much, Sheila Brown, for the super chat. Let's go. Y'all show Sheila some love in the chat. I wanted to show you a quick point from Mike Johnson, because this is probably the most important thing that needs to happen out of Trump's agenda, out of the Republicans for the next 2 years, is what you're about to hear next. Check it out.
And as heirs to the American Revolution and the descendants of patriots who defied tyranny, in the coming months, we are going to pass legislation to roll back the totalitarian fourth branch of government known as the administrative state. We're going to drastically cut back the size and scope of government. We're going to return the power back to the people. And in coordination with President Trump and his administration, we are going to create a leaner, faster, and more efficient federal workforce. We need to do that. Our people do not deserve to be ruled by millions of bureaucrats they've never voted for, never met, and can never hold accountable. They deserve a government that is led by those they've elected to lead. That is how Article 1 is supposed to work. That was the idea of the Congress, and we will return to that principle. The American people have called on us to reject business as usual and throw out the status quo. We must and we will heed their call.
Guys, get the government out of our lives, limit government, close it up. But I want to show you this because, again, too, limited government is super, super important. One of the biggest things was we know that there was deals that were made, guys. We know it. Right now, with what we've seen out of Congress, there's always the deals made. We know that Mike Johnson separately left the building and went and spoke with two of the three people that did not vote for him and told them, what do I got to do to earn your vote? So you're about to see what deals were actually made. Thank you so much, Mary Caldwell, for the super chat. First timer, let's go. Y'all show Mary some love in the chat, everybody. Check this out.
Johnson, and this is, I don't know if anybody knows this yet, but Trump told Johnson in private, I know this from speaking to a number of representatives now, that the only thing he wanted in the recent budget deal was a debt ceiling increase. And Johnson didn't tell anyone in leadership on the Republican side about that conversation until after the third bill passed at the last minute, the Friday before the holidays, without a debt ceiling increase. So for the people screaming that Johnson is part MAGA agenda, is he? I hope with the total grasp on the government from Republicans, he becomes that. But that was the reservation of many of, and I talked to a lot of people who honestly even voted for Mike Johnson round one and were still concerned about this themselves. But they did it out of party unity. So to get those last two holdouts, though, Johnson had to go into deal making, which Johnson said he wouldn't do.
Here.
My simple message to my colleagues is make suggestions about process improvements. We're open to that at all times, but I don't make deals with anyone. There's no quid pro quo here. I don't do anything in exchange for a vote other than commit to make this institution work as effectively and efficiently as possible.
Johnson had to make a deal with less than 1% of the Republican Party in order to keep the gavel.
Yep.
What was said? Look there. Look at his face. This is him introducing he's being introduced as the 119th congressional speaker of the House. He looks nervous. I don't blame him, because beside anything else, he's got to deliver now. But also, I have a sneaking suspicion, and I'm sure we'll find out in the next few days, that he made a deal with those two people behind closed doors that he's probably not real happy about, much like Kevin McCarthy did with the one-vote motion to vacate. I couldn't help but notice while the procedural niceties were carried out after the vote, and they're all patting each other on the back and high-fiving and shaking each other's hands, didn't seem like any of those people in that room were that concerned about the $36 trillion of debt that they're going to have to deal with real soon. But Johnson already made some promises, which are, in fact, kind of like a deal. The first one he made was create a working group comprised of independent experts not corrupted by lobbyists and special interests to work with Doge and our committees on recommending government and spending reforms to protect the American taxpayer. Sounds great. Another one, task that working group with reviewing existing audits of federal agencies and entities created by Congress and issuing a report to my office for public release. Also sounds great. But the third one, request House committees undertake aggressive authorizations and appropriation reviews, including providing additional resources where needed to expose irresponsible or illegal practices and hold agencies, individuals accountable
I want to go back
that have weaponized government against the American people. Okay, they all sound great. But what concerns me, because I have about zero faith in government at all, none of those things are deliverables. It's like an HOA board. They just don't do anything. They just talk about stuff. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of thinking and pontificating and discussing and task forces and committees and reports, but no deliverables. And this is why, potentially, I think there were some holdouts, and I think there were a couple people who held their nose and voted for Johnson on the round one. Because Mike Johnson did not deliver to the satisfaction of many Republicans, including myself. And we're worried that he actually doesn't even have a hold on the House of Representatives with this slim a margin. And I worry that he's not as loyal to Trump as he insinuates. That's where I stand, at least. But he's Speaker now. And I want him to be successful. I really do,
yes,
folks.
Me
But the
too.
fact that he didn't shut down the government, the fact that he put down a 1,600-page pork-filled continuing resolution after not discussing it with a single Republican in the House at all before it hit the floor, and only Democrats, that has a lot of people concerned, including me. 77 million people 2 months ago voted for Donald Trump, but only 75 million voted for the majority in the House. What was said, though, loud and clear, no more business as usual. So now, Mike Johnson, you have, I don't know, starting Monday in the new Congress, 14 days to have bills passed that will be waiting on Donald Trump's desk for passage when he gets in.
Guys, and so again, what I want to show you next is what are the next steps that are going to be taken. And I actually want to show you this chart too, because this is a big part of everything that Trump wants to do, a big part of funding everything. Again, guys, what I love is I love to bring you things that you're not going to see on mainstream media, and this is a part of it. Jackie Peavy House, thank you so much for the super chat. First timer, let's go. Y'all show Jackie some love in the chat, everybody. And I'm pretty sure Jackie joined the fam tonight. So show her some extra love. New TrueLife News member. Let's go. So right here is the tariffs. This is a chart of the tariffs revenue as a share of total federal receipts from 1798 to 2023. So as you can see, they're getting closer to 1950. That's, if you can't see it on your screen, I'll let you know. Down here in yellow, this line that's where it starts is the 1950 mark. That's how much percentage of all the money that comes into the United States and what we have to use to pay for stuff. That line represents, it's like 2%, 1 or 2% of the amount of money that comes in from tariffs. This is where Trump said that, look, in the past, we always had tariffs and they paid for a lot of things. Now, was it the 1800s? Yes. In the early 1900s? Yes. But still, this is where some deal was made by some politician in the early 1950s or the late 1940s, 1950s, where we just stopped taking any money from anybody in the entire world. And we just said, you know what? No more tariffs. But this is where Trump said he's going to use this because he wants to have at least half of the money coming into the United States to help pay for things come from tariffs. And we can see that from this chart of what he's going to do with that, because remember, the biggest first thing that they're going to do is the Reconciliation Act, the budget reconciliation. They're going to use that to roll back a lot of Biden's excess spending, also as well as to input the tax cuts, redo a lot of the foreign aid, all these things, pulling it back and giving it back to the American people in the form of the tax cuts. So I want you to see this, because again, too, a lot of this is predicated upon Trump being able to get the reconciliation package passed as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Shelly, for gifting one TrueLife News membership. Let's go. Y'all show Shelly some love in the chat, everybody.
Davis, I want to go back because we want the War Room posse to fully understand process. Grassley, hey, you've worked for Senator Grassley. He's a good man. They have, I think, a rule of thumb that's 28 days after you get the package, he will call a hearing. And folks, understand, you have to meet with the controlling committee first. In other words, Pete Hegseth will go to Armed Services. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel will go to the Judiciary, with Pam Bondi being the Attorney General going first. Kash would be second. Bobby Kennedy would go to the Health and Human Services in the Senate. Howard Lutnick would go to Commerce. Bessent would go to Banking and Finance. So it's to the jurisdiction of that committee. Because remember, the Senate's basic work by the Constitution is really the Human Resources Department, treaties, and it's quite important that they have that confirmation process, one of the separations of powers. And Mike's absolutely correct. You know, some of these nominations, remember how they were laughed at back in November with President Trump making? They ain't laughing now, because these things are heading towards confirmation. But just the timing of the process, Mike, if the hearings I'm hearing, the first couple of hearings with the committees themselves may not take place to the 15th, 16th, or 17th of January. That means President Trump could actually start with nobody on his team really sworn in. Is that how it's going to be?
Well, what they generally do is they'll start by having hearings for some of the top people earlier on in January, like the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of State. They have what's called the 28-day rule on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where you have to wait. You generally wait 28 days after you get the paperwork before you hold the hearing. That's actually not a hard and fast rule. It's a custom, and it can be waived. And so I imagine with Pam Bondi, they will waive that, and they'll move forward more quickly, particularly since we've had a president of the United States and his team who are sleeping on the job and diverting critical intelligence and law enforcement resources to go after political enemies, like those very dangerous 75-year-old Christians praying at abortion clinics, while we let these ISIS terrorists put out videos and then mass murder Americans. And so I think there's a very good argument to skip the 28-day rule and move forward very quickly, so President Trump at least has his national security team ready to go pretty close to day one, like Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and others. And I think the Senate needs to move forward and move forward quickly. Now, there are some things that are set by rule that can't be changed very easily, but I think that this will be a good test for this new Senate Majority Leader, John Thune. We're going to see whether he is going to lean in as the leader and push through President Trump's qualified cabinet picks and other key executive branch nominees. That is his job as the Senate Majority Leader for the president of his own party. If he thinks that he's some neutral judge during this process, then he needs to get his head out of his ass and understand what his job is, and that's to confirm the president's qualified picks as quickly as possible.
And we're on a roll right now, folks. Where did it go for Article 3, Mike, to become part of this and to help out? We got a lot of work to do, folks, in these confirmations. They're going to get confirmed, but hey, it's going to be a lift, and we know you're going to be there. Where do they go, Mike?
I was going to say, you're getting the Warpath coffee. I want the Warpath whiskey for January to confirm these cabinet picks and fight this lawfare. You can go to Article3Project.org, article number 3project.org. You can donate there, follow us on social media, and the most important thing you can do, especially in the month of January, is take action to light up these Senate Republicans to help them find their backbones and confirm President Trump's cabinet picks and other senior executive branch officials ASAP.
Guys, isn't it sad that we literally have to, we voted these people in, they have a job to do, and yet we have to go and hound them. Just like he said, you got to go and remind these senators and congresswomen and men that they have backbones and that, hey, we asked you to do something, now go do it. Just like when it came to the CR bill in December, where the only reason that it got so much exposure was because of Elon Musk, a citizen who literally called out the politicians for not doing what they were elected to do. And again, when it comes to the sham trial with Judge Merchan, it's all just a sham that literally Americans get screwed over every single day by the big government, by the deep state. And we need the transparency more than ever. Thank you so much, Lay Lewis, for the super chat. Let's go. Said U.S. needs to demand government help for the North Carolina folks that are living in tents instead of giving to the Ukraine. 100%. Another example. Why do we have to keep hounding them to go take care of North Carolinians instead of sending billions of dollars overseas? On top of that, Shelly, thank you so much for the super chat. So waiting for Christmas in July in Trump's mug on Mount Rushmore. Let's go. Y'all show Shelly some love in the chat. Guys, I'm telling you, it can't come soon enough. This is a video right now. Remember we told you a couple days ago at a Tapachula, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Mexico, a huge caravan is coming. This huge caravan is coming to the border, trying to get in before Trump gets inaugurated as president. Well, I thought the president of Mexico was stopping all this. This is where we keep them accountable. People don't know this stuff is happening, and it's happening right under our eyes, guys. They're still letting a lot of people in. The border's still not closed. There's still a lot of things that need to be taken care of day one, and that is securing the U.S. border. And that's where, again, too, where do the threats come from? From the Congress people of holding our people accountable. Listen to this.
So my next guest was a yes for Johnson, but also has a warning for the House Speaker. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy joins me now. So Congressman, first, I want to ask you for your reaction about this New York judge, Juan Merchant, saying that Trump's set a sentencing hearing now for January 10th before inauguration, but maybe signaling no jail time. What do you think about this that just came down?
Yeah, I mean, that's a power play by the New York, justice system that I think is a slap in the face of the President of the United States. I think we're going to have some serious conversations about what that means, in defense of the president. Most of these cases have gone away as they should. That lawfare was a, underhanded way to try to prevent President Trump from being able to be elected. And then since he's been elected, they're just trying to undermine his authority. I don't think that's going to stand. We'll move forward, and we're all going to be supporting the president, supporting his agenda over the next couple of weeks.
Now, to what happened today, you initially decided to pass on the first vote, and at the end of the first vote, you came back in and voted for Johnson. Was that a tactic or a message for him?
Well, look, it was very important for a group of us to make clear that, we're going to expect the agenda that the president ran on to get delivered. Mike Johnson is a friend. He's a friend to all of us. But we weren't satisfied with the way the 218th Congress unfolded. Keith Self expressed that very well. So we were making very clear that there's a block of us that are going to be watching very closely. We need to deliver. We need to actually secure the border. We need to actually pass policies before there's any conversation about future flow or any kind of status. We're going to do our job to secure the border, remove illegal aliens from this country. We're going to stop spending money we don't have. We're going to deliver on what the president ran on, and that's what matters. And so on the vote on the floor, we were being very clear that there's a block of us that are going to demand that on the policy changes. The president of the United States backed the speaker, so we backed the speaker in this election, but we're going to be watching every single vote, and we've got to make sure that we get what we set out to do and that we do what we said we would do when we ran for election this last year.
Congressman, you had said on X that there were more than 3 people who initially have reservations who voted or who didn't vote against Johnson. What are the reservations then?
Well, the reservations are we spent close to $3 trillion last year with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. We had multiple bills that were passed with a majority, lacking a majority of Republican votes. We saw what unfolded with a promise to say that we would secure the border of the United States before we funded Ukraine. Those were all failures. But that's looking in the rearview mirror. Today's a new day. It's 2025. The president asked us to get behind Mike Johnson. We did. It is now Mike Johnson's house to deliver. It is now Mike Johnson's job to deliver on the president's agenda. We will back him as long as we're delivering on that agenda. And so that is what we need to do right now, is come together to do that. We've got to stop spending money we don't have and racking up deficits. We've got to secure the border.
Yes.
We've got to get rid of the bureaucrats. We've got to make our country strong again. There can be no room for doubt here. We've got to have leadership to get that done. And that's why today's vote. That's why there were 9 people who withheld their votes. It sends a message that we're going to be watching that.
Congressman, are you concerned that the drama we saw fold out today undermined in some way the ability to get President-elect Donald Trump's agenda fully passed through the House?
Not at all. Speaker Johnson was elected on the first ballot, but we were making very clear that we're going to demand to get the things done that need to get done. And that's what the president wants. We've had lots of conversations with the president. He wants us to deliver. He's had some very specific conversations with us and with the speaker. And I know those were going on the floor with those who initially voted no. But we've got a long ways to go. We've had too many failures in the past. The American people didn't vote for more of the same. So again, this is now Speaker Johnson's House of Representatives to deliver for the president. So we're going to expect delivery of all of the things the American people sent us here to do.
Do you think that all of the tax cuts, for instance, that the president would like to see, in addition to extending the tax cut, but also talking about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, can all of that get passed along with border security? I know your district is in Texas, so can it all get passed?
If the speaker does his job, I think we can get that done for the president, more importantly for the country. But importantly, when you're talking about tax policy, we need all of that to be not just deficit neutral, but reducing deficits. And not with made up growth rates, but with very specific recognition that whatever we do with tax policy must have strong offsetting cuts. And we need to undo the damage of the Biden administration, repeal the so-called Inflation Reduction Act with all the climate subsidies, repeal the student loan fiasco, repeal all of the expansion of food stamps, do all of the stuff the American people sent us here to do. We could save a couple of $1 trillion out of the gate if we reverse Biden's damaging policies, secure the border, and then we can get busy in reconciliation, getting us to deficit reduction.
So you want to see border go first in the last 30 seconds we have with a one vote, basically majority. Yeah. Can you do that?
Well, we have to, and now it's the job of the speaker to get it done. I will do everything in my power to support that, but there are going to be some guardrails and some red lines that I'm going to say are necessary to get my support. And we're talking about spending, we talk about the border, those things matter. So we've got to get in a room, we've got to work together, and we've got to deliver. That's what the American people sent us here to do. That's what the president wanted us to do. So we will now work to get it done, and the speaker has got to deliver.
Representative Chip Roy, it was a excellent
Guys, I don't know about y'all, but I just I feel I'm not going to say anything no more negative about Mike Johnson. He's our speaker. We need to move forward, fix things, and get things better. I'm holding myself back. I wanted to show you this right here. Mexican president, this is breaking news. Mexican president Sheinbaum says she will allow President Trump to use Mexico as a deportation hub, even for non-Mexican migrants. This is big. There's remember, 20 million that came over to the United States that we have no clue. Think about it, guys. Remember. And they say, well, they were vetted. They were given a paper and they have to show up to court. Yeah, 5-6 years from now, you actually think they're going to show up? You are naive if you think that. But one of the things I'm telling you, I feel like some of the senators are more pit bulls than some of the Congress people. But I want to show you this exchange because this is who we need in this mentality when it comes to the speakership. Listen to this because this is corruption being found out on Congress.
Is it common practice at your department to meet with dark money groups off the books and conceal it from the public?
Senator, thank you for the question. And of course, I can't answer to, if you're referring to our former deputy secretary, he's no longer at the department.
Who worked for you?
He worked for the president. He was appointed by the president.
He's your deputy secretary. Are you the secretary of the Department of Interior? I thought that's why you were here. Are you the secretary? Don't look at her, look at me.
Yes.
Are you the secretary? Do these people who are sitting here today answering most of your questions, do they work for you?
They work.
Do they report for you? You're not in charge?
They work with me.
They work with you. So you're not in charge of the department. Oh my gosh, I thought you were in charge. I thought that's why you were here.
We work as a team.
Oh, okay. So who's in charge then?
I provide the vision, I provide the overall direction, and
But you're not in charge.
Our mission.
Do you take responsibility for what happens at the Department of the Interior?
I take responsibility.
Do you take full responsibility for what happens at the Department of the Interior? Good. Then why are your leadership meeting with dark money groups and concealing it from the public? Why are they doing it off the books? How many times has this happened?
Senator, this is the first I'm hearing of this. My deputy secretary is no longer there, and I can't answer to what he did when he was there.
What did they get out of it, do you suppose? What do you suppose Hans-Jörg Weiss got out of you canceling the leases after they asked you to?
I don't know who.
In an off-the-books reading.
I don't know who this individual
Oh,
is.
sure. I mean, you don't know, you're not in charge, you're not responsible. We have a corruption problem in this government, Madam Secretary, and frankly, we have a corruption problem in your department.
Boom, guys. That is what we need as Speaker. Somebody who says, I'm not afraid to call out all this stupid spending of the American. I wish if they gave me the chance, I would stand up and say, look, y'all have wasted American taxpayers' money. You've literally stood up here and said you were for MAGA, yet you did this and this and this, and I'd put it all on a list. What do you have to say for yourself? Because America cannot continue to function. Why do you think, in the beginning, trust me, guys, in the beginning, I always thought, why does Trump keep saying, make America great again? I mean, I think we're a pretty great country. But the more that you learn, no, we are backwards right now, where the elitists and the politicians feel like we serve them, and they spend our money with no accountability whatsoever. And that's why we need to overhaul, especially of these unelected bureaucrats. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button so I can take care of you every day with the top news. Guys, thank you so much for your support. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. Appreciate your support. And thank you to everybody that is a member of the channel. If you want to be a member, the link is in the description to join the TrueLife News fam. Want to give some shout outs to new member Jackie Peavyhouse, Barbara Motzinger, Ronald Zimmerman, Sheila Brown, Mary Caldwell, Lay Lewis, Shelly. Y'all show them some love in the chat. Y'all show the members some love. Guys, I want to give some shout outs to some of these members. QDA, Deanna Scott, Jackie Peavyhouse, Shelly, What's New, Mr. Tracy J. Norby, Lay Lewis, Annette Coffee, B1 Sly One. Guys, appreciate y'all so much, especially the compliments on my hair. I really try. I got to get a haircut this next week. But that's from B1 Sly One. Thank you so much, Ernestine, Corey, Chip Trap, What's New? Guys, I love y'all. Appreciate you so much. I'm here to serve you every single day with the top news. You have a wonderful one, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.